Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad to have you here for our quarterly fall meeting. We're just waiting for Jonas to load my slides since we have a little bit of technical difficulty on my end, but this is going to be really a very interesting meeting. We have a lot of updates for you, a lot of information about very important programs that have taken place that some of us may not have been able to participate in, or things that are upcoming. So we hope that this will be a very useful morning for you. Next slide, please, Jonas. Next slide, there we go. So this is what we're going to do this morning. We're going to be talking about the new Finishing Strong Award. I hope that all of you are on our mailing list and saw the announcement that went out a little earlier in September. As a matter of fact, we'll be talking a little bit more about that, and we'll be hearing some other very interesting information about other things that are upcoming. We're going to have Barbara give us highlights of the VtVN Network Conference that took place last week. We're going to finally be able to have a real rollout of our new website and member benefits for you, and hope that you'll find it useful. We have a very interesting presentation about an innovative project that Kathy Pointer on our board is going to be talking about, and she is leading. And then we'll be breaking into our breakout sessions. And I do want to clarify that there is no particular content in any of the breakout sessions. Historically, WAVE has often had what we call our problem of the day sessions, which are facilitated discussions, so that everybody can not only bring their problems, but bring their solutions to share. Next slide, please. So, I really always want to remind people about this, because this is one of the most underutilized resources that I think WAVE offers. We have many very experienced, talented mentors just waiting to help you if you have any problem at all. Again, this is not just for startup villages, but any WAVE member villages are welcome to ask for a mentor. It could be on just a small, very arcane, technical or financial issue. But if you've got a problem, we think we've got someone who can help you. And we have a very nice partnership with VtV, so that if in fact your problem is so specific that we don't have any experience with it in our area, why VtV has its own network of mentors, and they will be happy to try and plug you into someone, because after all, most problems are not totally geographic. And so we think that we can help just about anybody with just about anything. Also, we are also always looking for new mentors. Again, you may have a special expertise and you might want to be on call. I must say the burden is unfortunately very low. The chance that you will be asked for advice very frequently are next to nothing. So please, on our website, where it says mentoring and mutual support, there are forms for both requesting a mentor for both startups and operating villages, or to sign up to be a mentor. Also, I think some of you know that we have periodic facilitated discussion via Zoom, and we call those our mutual support sessions. The ones that we've had this year were mostly associated with people who with villages who had applied for a Founders Award. So we learned a lot of interesting things from some very outstanding projects. And again, you can see that you go to our new website, and under WAVE programs, you'll see a link to our mutual support page. Okay, next slide, please, Jonas. So I'm really happy to be able to talk a little bit about this. Again, I do hope that you've seen the message that went out. WAVE member villages are encouraged to give us proposals for any variety of programs that encourage more conversations and discussions about end-of-life issues. The award is generously supported by Chris Palmer and Gail Shearer of Bethesda Metro Village. Chris has been leading one of their special interest groups for several years now that covers a whole gamut of aging well issues, including end-of-life issues. And they think it's very important to help promote these conversations and the specific planning actions that are important. So the winner could receive as much as $3,000. If there are two or three that seem equally meritful, then the $3,000 would be split. You could you can find details and a link to the online application at our new website, wavevillages.org, Finishing Strong Award. You can just type that in, and we hope that you'll be able to download that. Or actually, Carolyn, I think they fill it in online, don't they? But I think there's an option for them.
There's you can do either way, and you can download the application or fill it in online.
Right. And you're welcome to download it and maybe work through your drafts with your board or your leadership or others, and then go back and, and submit the final award online. Applications must be submitted by close of business November 17th, and we'll be announcing the winners at the January quarterly meeting. Now, you have to be a WAVE member to apply. So to check whether your village is a WAVE member, please go to our new website, wavevillages.org/membervillages. And by the way, we will be offering the Founders Award again this year. We won't be opening it until a little later this year. And it will actually won't be opened until January. And then, as last year, we will announce the winners of that at our April meeting. And as some of you may recall, the Founders Award is for completed projects. It could be a service, it could be an educational program that have had wide impact. And I must say, for both of these awards, the Finishing Strong Award and for the Founders Award, we'd like projects that have the potential to be replicated somewhere else. Okay, next slide, please. I hope you're all as old as I am and you know who this is and the finger that's pointing. Next slide, please. WAVE needs you. I couldn't get it quite under Uncle Sam there. So we need to hear from you. How can we help your villages? And what are your priorities? We're going to send out a survey next month. We really want your input on what you consider high value programs or services that would help your village and you. And when I say services, WAVE obviously does not deliver services like villages do, but I think the shared calendar, which we take no credit for originating, is an example of a shared service that we are now taking over as of November 1st. And there might be other types of shared services. So please watch for the survey that'll be coming out next month. Carolyn, help me. I believe it's only going to villages, not the individuals on our mailing list, correct?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
I believe our survey will go only to villages, not to our mailing list.
It can go to whoever we want it to, whatever is decided.
Okay, well, okay, so maybe individuals can tell us what their priorities would be. But again, we remember that WAVE's primary mission is not to help individuals age at home. We more are an indirect, we'd like to help those who help you. So anyway, watch for the survey and please respond. Next, we really are looking for people who have had well-polished skills and deep experiences over their professional life, or even in their, if they weren't professionally engaged, in their civic life or in their life. We know that you're out there. We know that many of you on this call right now probably have excellent skills or experience that could be of use. And I'm sure that many of you are indeed putting them to use. But some of you may feel that you have a little more bandwidth, or you have lots of bandwidth. So we're looking for people who might be interested in joining the WAVE Board of Directors. But we also are going to have specific projects or tasks or areas like communications and programming, where you don't need to be a formal village member to participate or lead those committees, let's call them. And so we hope that you'll take a look at your skills, your interests, your passions, and your time. And you can email me directly for more details, or I can have a follow-up conversation with you. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we're going to let Barbara share her screen. I'm sure you all know that Barbara Sullivan is president of the Village to Village Network, and she has been, you may also know that I think she was one of the founders of Alexandria, at Home Alexandria, no, Mount Vernon. I'm sorry, Barbara, I always get that wrong. Mount Vernon at Home. So we're
That's
very,
okay. I like being associated with that, huh?
yeah, it's much better than MVA, right? But anyway, so Barbara, we're looking forward to hearing from you.
Okay. Everybody can see that?
Mhm.
Great. So thanks so much, Mary Jo. I appreciate it. And I'm actually not the president. I'm the executive director. Kim Greer is the president of our board. So I just wanted to clarify that. This has been quite a year. I think that we have to reflect back on how we started this year. We started with, celebrating 20 years with Beacon Hill Village. And so we've come a long way, baby, as they used to say. So just an overview of the conference. We had over 535 registrations, and I have to put a little caveat on that. We had many venues that were streaming, and so there were 5 to 10 people in the room. So this is the official count. What was amazing to us, and I think probably really at the end of the day on Thursday, both Travis, Steve, and I were exhausted. 66 speakers in total, moving them in and out of the rooms. I know that you all heard the chatter in the back, room conversations. Okay, bring this person on, bring that. I don't think there's any way to avoid it. It makes us more human, most certainly. But overall, we had some great speakers, and we really appreciate it. We have many on this call, so thank you all very much. The average attendance was 63%. That's like out of all the 535, consistently 63% of the registrations were participating the entire day, which is unbelievable. We're so thankful. It was great. Highlights. We all talked as we were all chatting this morning. The breakout sessions were phenomenally great, and there's no easy way to do that, but I think it was successful. And every year we live and learn, and whether or not next year we do in person, we're chatting about possibly doing some regional workshops in person instead of a big conference. I don't, we did a poll. The poll was, about 40% of the poll, it was whether or not you would attend in person or not. And 40% said yes, but we still had 40% that said maybe. And so, it's a big expense and a lot of undertaking to be in person. And so we just want to make sure everybody's happy. And maybe we'll do another poll at the end of the year. We are going to send a survey out about the conference. So maybe we'll stick that in there to see if people would actually commit to being in person. But an idea is, like I said, to do maybe some regional meetings and joint maybe with, and I'm having conversations with Mary Jo and see if whether or not we do one with WAVE. PACE program was one of the first days, at the end of the day, but very heavily, chatted about. And as we have villages that look for a continuum of care for some of their aging members, this was a great program. And again, all these sessions were recorded. So we will be sending them out. The second day,
Mary Jo, I just wanted to say, people may not know what a PACE program is.
Oh, the PACE program it's a program for all-inclusive care for the elderly. It's a federally funded program, and there is actually one in DC, and there's one in Virginia, I think in Alexandria, but not, it used to be in Fairfax County, but I don't think they have it any longer. And it's basically trying to keep people at home that are nursing level care. So they have a contingency of doctors and therapists, and they do have centers where you can go and do you know, like an adult day almost, you know, or go a couple times a week. So they do have some transportation, but it's a support system in the house instead of going to a nursing home when people need that level of care. It is jointly Medicare, Medicaid program. So to be eligible, you have to fit that criteria. But again, it's something to look at. Our panel of pundits, what can I say? This was 5 CEOs of the leading aging organizations in Washington and around Washington that lobby on behalf of or advocate on behalf of older Americans. Bob Blancato did a great job. He steered the panel on different questions, and at the end, of course, did touch on how villages can play a role. And if we are not the epitome of home and community-based services, I think, you know, COVID, I will say personally, taking over in 2018, we were on a good roll. We, you know, were connecting in person, and then COVID hit, and just like villages, we hit the skid marks. We just, we stopped moving forward. And it took all of us just to stay afloat as far as the network, to manage what, you know, hold us all together. Back being in person this year and some of the conversations I've had, that's why we had the panel of pundits, you know, the ASA CEO, you know, Peter Paredes, and, you know, Katie Sloan, Smith Sloan. We are being asked to the table, and that's huge now. We were just accepted, the network and all of our member, you know, organizations were accepted into the LCAO, which is the leading council of aging organizations. This is an invite only, and I'm so excited. Again, it's being asked to the table and reckoning that we are a force, you know, in home and community-based services. So stay tuned. If there was ever a value to be a part of the network, it's now, you know, and knowing that we're being recognized. The creativity session with Georgetown, Mathers, Lifeway, and Capitol Hill Village, that was another really highlight. And also the partnerships that was on the last day with not just Vivo and Dora, which Silver Spring was partnering with, but I think you're going to see a lot more partnerships and collaborations. And last but not least, the project that Mary Jane Atwater, Carol Paquette, Cynthia Kemp, who was our consultant, and myself worked on for 9 months. And let me tell you, Mary Jane, Carol, and Cynthia did the yeoman's work of it. It was a lot of hours, but what a great collaboration and examples of the cases of, you know, our villages and individually working with their local area agencies on aging or office on aging in their states and local municipalities. So it's on our website. You can click and download it. You don't have to be a member of VtV in order to access it. It's 70 pages of just incredible information and statistics, and I think you'll find it very interesting. So please, you're welcome to download it. This is what it looks like. So all you have to do is click on the picture on our website, and you can download the document. Oh, I had to put this in. Today would have been my dad's 90th birthday, so I had to throw that in. Happy birthday, Dad, heavenly. So I'll open it for questions if anybody has any questions about the conference.
Barbara, I thought that the pundits was really very lively. It was even more political than I thought it might be, which I thought was welcome, because I think that we live in a political world, and I think that they were, you know, projecting a lot of things that might happen and the different forces that were at play. And so I appreciated, you know, that a lot.
I think that, you know, and I know especially up here in the Northeast, we're having a lot of, you know, issues surrounding advocacy, and, you know, if there's anything you walk away from is that there's Social Security. I mean, these are things we need to stand up and talk about individually, as a village, locally. You know, it's prescription drugs. It's, you know, we need to be the voice, and hopefully carry the baton to the next step. And so local advocacy can be anywhere from, and I think that's what the pundits were trying to say is, you know, whether it's, you know, zoning issues, because we have housing, you know, issues everywhere. I know that in Mount Vernon, you couldn't move laterally. You'd have to either take a mortgage out, you know, your home was your asset, and it continues to be. And so there's no downsizing, so to speak, unless you move out, you know, further out and not in the community.
Right.
Um,
Barbara, you know,
and-
while you're talking about that, there's a question from Morgan Gopnik that I think gets to that. You know, it raises the question, what should our top collective national priority be? And you started to mention housing. I know staffing is one that many villages and people who work with older Americans are also seeing as a critical bottleneck.
Correct. I mean, that's one of the reasons that we're so thrilled about the LCAO, the Leading Council of Organizations, because they really are taking and spearheading a lot of the issues that, you know, are facing us and in front of Congress. And so we have joined with them on 2 letter writings. Eddie is not on the call, is he? Is Eddie on? Eddie's spearheading our advocacy end, but you know, right across the board federally, we have to look at Social Security, whether or not in 5 years they're going to get rid of Social Security if we change our administration over. I mean, that's a threat. That's a direct threat. Prescription drugs. I'm going to tell you, it's unheard of that seniors, older Americans are paying for insulin, the cost, and it's rising. You know, why can't that be regulated?
Mhm.
And then, you know, other areas, and I think the guidebook, the leveraging guidebook, shows us how Older Americans Act monies can be distributed within the community through the AAAs. And I think, you know, you're seeing great examples of that, whether it's reimbursements for services like, look at A Little Help. That's a very interesting case study. They're in Colorado. They're getting reimbursed for transportation and some in-house support services. So, you know, those are just on the federal level. Kathy, I'll get you in 1 second. Locally, I know that I was involved in the zoning, you know, stop putting up all these McMansions and get proffers out there for affordable dwelling units for not just, you know, everybody in the community, not just the older Americans. I know that in parts of our country, believe it or not, you know, we have over 5 million older adults that are food insecure. You know, food insecurity is a big issue. And so, in fact, I'm supposed to go to Campbell's Soup next week for a breakfast. I was invited. So we'll see, because their emphasis is on youth and children. And I'm like, you know what? How many of us know, when I was in the industry, that the first thing an older adult will do when they're hungry is pick up a can of soup and put it in the microwave, because it's easy and it's fast and it's nutritional. So why wouldn't Campbell put that on their priority list? Just saying. Kathy.
Thank you, Barbara. I thought too that the conference was great. The breakouts were great. Our breakout was on starting a village and really talking about some of the challenges, or not some of the challenges, lessons learned and things we can do. But I was thinking that maybe we could take that list. It was almost maybe close to 30 in that session. It was very lively, engaging. But I'm thinking maybe we can reach out to them and help them. Maybe we can ask them some pointed questions to really draw them into the network and help them to start their villages, because there was a lot of interest there. So rather than waiting, as we're talking about mentorship and helping villages to get on board, rather than waiting for them to reach out, I think if we flip it and we take the approach of reaching out to them, that we could actually help start a couple of more villages.
Kathy,
totally agree.
got an action item for you as well as for Barbara to make sure that maybe you, on behalf of WAVE, can get a copy of that participant list for us, not only for V2V, but for us to have. So if you'd follow up for that.
That's actually Steve Gurney. So what I need to do is, I didn't pester him on Friday.
Yeah.
So it's now Monday. I can pester him.
But the other issue,
But it's
another policy issue is, the whole missing middle. The people who are neither rich enough to afford, some of the private and even nonprofit assisted livings or those kinds of facilities, and yet they're not poor enough to qualify for some of the benefits that are.
And that's a lot of chatter. I mean, we're going to have a conversation with ARP. The speaker from ARP on housing had some slides in there that were very old, and we actually said COVID's changed a lot of our demographics, and we need to do a study. We need to do, an updated, because that was taken from 2016 with the UC Berkeley. That's way too old. That's outdated and truthfully not a representation of what we are today. So we're going to have a continued, because they have a public policy piece that's going to come out with that data, and we asked them to hold off until they talk to us.
Well,
So-
I actually looked at, they have, I think, a 2021 survey. Do they call it a community living survey that they do?
Yeah,
So they have updated information.
Danielle Argoni, who was the director of Livable Communities, did that survey. But most of the other statistics were done from the 2016 Carrie Graham, survey, and it was wrong. Seal.
Is somebody else? Have a hand?
Barbara, quick question. There was a policy paper that just came out last week. Is this what you guys are talking about? Because I can't remember who wrote it. I would love to, and there's not time for it now, have a brief discussion about it. You know what? It just hit me wrong when I read that thing.
Well, that's the one they took down because we
You know
said
what? And I think, and
it's
I know
outdated.
a policy paper. Well, not in the session. I mean, this is something that our
No.
local.
Yeah, I got it about an hour, and it was the speaker who spoke last week.
Oh,
wrote
is
it.
that right? You know what? I just reacted so viscerally to it. And I know a position paper is not supposed to be complimentary. It's supposed to state the facts, what was, state of where you are at a point in time. But I just found it so, I hate for that. I'd hate for that thing to get out into the general public, because it looks like villages don't care about diversity, or they don't, or it was just so, I don't know a single village that isn't working hard at tackling difficult issues, including having a more diverse membership. Some have done better than others, but everybody's trying to do the right thing. And I just thought it was a smackdown, and I just reacted to it privately, not to anybody else.
Well, I got wind of it about 2 hours before the speaker, and they did take it down out of courtesy to us, because I did voice the fact that these statistics were wrong, the demographics, that the villages have changed. And so, and Wendy actually came out on the program and said that to the speaker. And said not about the policy paper, but about how she had a slide up, and the speaker, and Wendy said, my village is not that way anymore. COVID changed that. And we, a third of our population is on, reduced or no membership fee, and so, but and as Morgan says, we have to be honest, we're not doing well enough. No, we need to have everybody committed to, reaching out and leveling the playing field. And that, I think that's the voice we have to show as we move forward. So thanks, Seal.
Any other questions or comments? Oh, Barbara, I guess I'm sort of curious. Maybe you could put in the chat the name of this report that we all want to avoid. I mean, I haven't.
They took it down, so it's
Good.
not out right now. And like I said, we're having a conversation with ARP sometime this week. Hopefully, I'm speaking to 3 locations in Vermont at the beginning of next week, because they're trying to do a hub and spoke in the entire state. So the Department of Aging and UVM are asking me to come up and talk. And so a lot of very rural and very poor people up in Vermont. And so this is an example of what the Village Network is doing in the outreach, making it available for every community. But I do like your idea about taking the participant list, Kathy, and doing that. I think that's a great idea, and do outreach. So, any other questions, comments?
Well, I must say, Pazita, I hate to put you on the spot, but I'm just wondering in the spirit of updates, and I know Susan Zolman is on the call too. I'm just wondering, we have a few minutes. Pazita, is there anything that you'd like to share with the whole group about what Montgomery County is doing? I know you're still on.
I'm still on. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Well, since I was able to attend the WAVE meeting, just a lot of conflict. I'm really happy to see you all here and want to share my appreciation of Barbara and team for a wonderful conference. It's been a yeoman's work and well worth it. In terms of Montgomery County, I wanted to share that we are working on hub and spoke ideas. There's a survey we disseminated to village leaders. Betsy Carrier and I are working on a hub and spoke report, which is forthcoming, just to review the kind of models that exist in the country, to give people ideas of the scope and the breadth of the project called Hub and Spoke, and help them make some decisions for themselves. Wanted to share that Maryland villages are trying to kind of reconnect with one another, November 17th. So this invitation, I'm hoping that all of you have received already, whether via the WAVE list that Dave Prescott had shared with us, or through the old communication list that Carol Kober, if you all remember her, had used. So if you're a Maryland village and you want to join and you haven't received the invitation, please reach out to me. I'm going to put my email in the chat box. Additionally, I want to share that we're going to have a shared social worker. We're talking about frail members and how to help them. So I'm really excited about the possibility of seeing the efficacy of such a model of sharing one staff person among all villages and seeing people's ability to stay at home longer using that level of support. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Pazita.
Yep.
Susan, again, I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there anything you'd like to share?
Good morning, everyone. No worries. I'm here. Fairfax County villages have been exploring sharing resources, not quite hub and spoke, but we've been talked about that idea, but also having just some back administrative insurance type stuff. And they're still in discussions around that, but we've been having a good amount of speakers and visitors to try to provide those options and demonstrate how they work, because some of our villages are still on the younger side and not necessarily have paid staff yet. But that's kind of like the next push of how do we get that? How do we get a little more established and funding for that? And some of it's that back end stuff. So we're exploring that. We're also really looking at the equity around the county and how to get some different villages in different areas of the county than they are now, but also I know a lot of our villages doing wonderful work with since COVID, especially with the reduced and like we talked about membership and stuff like that. I mean, our villages were amazing during COVID to pull, show up for the county, and the county very much recognized that. And so in both aspects, in the current villages and the work with equity amongst them, but also looking at growing other villages within the county to see if we can address some of the equity in different areas of the county because it is so large.
Well, thank you. And again, I don't want to put either Denise or Judy Berman on the spot, but do either of you want to update us on things that are going on in the district?
Sorry, I need to take a minute to think about that. Morgan's got her hand up.
Okay, Morgan?
Yeah, I just wanted to say a few words. I mean, Denise is probably knows more in a detailed way than I do, but the DC villages are in the middle of a very intense strategic planning exercise. We've hired an external organizational consultant to talk about how to move forward in a more collective way. There are 13 villages in DC. They by no means cover all areas of DC. We've been informally collaborating for years and sharing grants and various things. And now there's talk about how can we be a little bit more formal in our collaboration. I think again, their independence. The consultant we've hired is pushing us very hard to talk about what are the benefits? Who are we? How is the greater collaboration going to help everyone? What are the downsides? How do we work through it? It's been an intense process. And in fact, I think it's next week. Yeah, next week, we have an all-day in-person meeting for the executive directors and presidents of all the DC villages to just talk about how to move forward in a more coordinated way.
Very good. Does anyone else have anything of this nature that they want to share that affects a region or an area or any kind of a collaborative activity? Seal? You're mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. You'd asked me to talk about the survey that's gone out in Virginia. The Virginia, I don't know how many Virginia villages we have in the meeting this morning, so I'm going to make this very brief. The Virginia Department for Aging and Rehabilitative Services, DARS, has put out a community assessment survey for older adults. It will, the instrument, it's live now. It's an online survey. It's running through October 27th, and it's an opportunity for older adults in Virginia to voice their concerns. The survey, I understand, I haven't looked at it yet, is lengthy. So for Virginia villages, it's something that you would want to let your members know about, so they have a chance to weigh in. So if anybody needs a link to the site, hit me up. Happy to share it.
All right. Thank you very much. Anyone else?
I have my hand up. Mary Jo, I have my hand up.
Go ahead, sure.
Lisa Walker from Hyattsville Aging in Place. I'm in Prince George's County, and I know Layla is on here also from Prince George's County in Maryland. I can't speak to the kinds of collaborations that I'm seeing in the other areas. We do have a collaboration of our villages in University Park, College Park, and Hyattsville for running ongoing conversations called corridor conversations. But I think there has been a discussion for a long time about our reaching out further across the county. We have not made a lot of moves in that. There is some funding available, and it may be that we will be able to try to do some of that in the future. And Layla is here. I don't know if anybody else from the county is here, but there may be some other things that are going on as well.
Layla, did you have anything to add?
Sorry, I don't know if you can hear me. I'm joining by phone.
Yes.
Okay. Well, here in Prince George's County, we do have an umbrella organization, Crystal Beatty, who has been with the city of Greenbelt for quite a few years, and city of Greenbelt acts much as a village, just in the way that they support and operate. But we do Aging in Place Prince George's, and we are always in active conversation trying to have the county also better understand and find ways to support the village movement here in Prince George's County, and looking for ways. Most of our villages are attached to municipalities, and there are large swaths of Prince George's County that do not have representation under municipalities, and looking for ways that we can expand village opportunities to reach residents throughout Prince George's County. So that thing about how villages form, we're looking at different ways to support village formation outside of the typical municipality or small neighborhood structure.
Thank you. Diane Watson, did you have something you wanted to add?
Hi, thank you. Adding on to what Seal mentioned about the survey that's being online and encouraging people to do it. There was the survey that was sent out in February to 22,000 random selectees. And last month, the Board of Supervisors had the results of that presentation, and 18% responded to that survey. So they're trying to get additional help. Fairfax County is working on a 50+ SHAPE program right now. And we are encouraging many, many people to put their voices in. So the survey is one thing, but this week there's supposed to be an announcement about 4 locations within Fairfax County for people to join town hall meetings and put their input in concerning the needs that they see now and what they anticipate in the next few years. So I encourage people to be on the lookout for that news. Each of the regions, 4 regions in Fairfax County, are going to host one. And they're hoping to get at least 60 people to, state their views. There will be interpreters there as well. So somebody who has a language issue, there should be somebody there to help. So I pass that on, and for people to be on the lookout for where those meetings are going to be.
Yeah, just to clarify, Susan from Fairfax County, the February survey was for Fairfax County residents. And it's the second survey on older adults in several years. But the state had taken the same vendor and essentially the same survey, and is now doing across the state. So they're 2 very different surveys, but the randomized 22,000 was within Fairfax County. Now they're trying to get the entire state. So please, and they're doing it differently. They're just asking people to fill it out. They're not, before with Fairfax County, they sent it out to a certain demographics, and the push was, if you get it, please fill it out. If you get it, please fill it out. This is like, please fill us out. So they're doing it slightly different, but it is the same company that the state is using that Fairfax used.
Yeah, and the town hall meetings are for Fairfax County to
Yes, and
make
I'm
that
sure
clear as well.
once the state version is done, they'll do town halls and focus groups as well.
Excellent. A lot going on around the region. Anyone else have something that they want to add before we move on? Well, I forgot to fully thank Barbara. We just sort of got carried away, in updates as she began to update what's going on nationally. So
Everything
thank you
sounds
again.
good.
Yeah,
I'm going to chirp in. Those of you in Virginia, contact Carol Paquette. She's actually organizing some stuff too. So most certainly, she just sent me something last night, and I didn't thoroughly read through it, but definitely, you've got a good group of brainiacs that can do the survey and send it in. So.
Would you put her email in the chat?
Yeah, I would be happy to. And thank you. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to pop off. I'm presenting to a group in Florida. So no problem.
Good. Layla, did you have something else you want to add?
Yes, under updates, this is not a regional update, but Cheverly Village has just had their 3rd year of our vaccination clinic, which started out originally as a flu clinic. And then this past Saturday, we were able to support in partnership with Wegmans, administering over 175 vaccinations from flu, pneumonia, shingles, and the Pfizer COVID-19 bivalent booster. It was a hopping event, drive-through, and it really felt good to be able to partner to do that. So just wanted to share that with other villages.
You know, I think what we might do is almost, we could, I don't know if it needs another Zoom session, but you've done that. Little Falls Village, of course, did it last year. And I think that others are doing it. You know, maybe there could be a quick regrouping around lessons learned about how to do that in your own community.
That would be beautiful because we learn additional lessons each and every year.
Right. Okay. So I'll put that as a placeholder to myself. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Well, let's move on. Can we have the next slide, please? Jonas.
All right, let me put them back up.
It should say website. Aha. You know, I don't know, folks, but I tell you, I want trumpets. I want a red carpet. I want flags. I want fireworks. I hope you are as happy as I personally am with the new website. Of course, we want any feedback, plus or minus, negative, good, outstanding, poor, you know, fix this, whatever it is, why please let us know. But in the meantime, so I'm going to introduce the person who really needs to know. Carolyn Rourke is a board member from Lowlink, and she is our web manager as well as our secretary, and she has done really yeoman's work in getting this thing up and running. And so she is going to tell you a little bit about, you know, what's in it and what's in it for you in your village. So take it away, Carolyn.
Thank you, Mary Jo. I appreciate it. And as always, any project of this magnitude is definitely a team effort. And I want to thank Mary Jo and Dave Prescott and everybody else who contributed to what we think is a successful implementation of a new website that was pretty badly needed. It's obvious from the prior discussion how busy we all are with new initiatives and innovative initiatives. And I think that the new Wave website will be a good place to share all of that information across our region. So I'm going to share my screen, and whoever, yes, there we go. And you should be seeing the new Wave website now. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, very good. So we actually launched the new Wave website at the end of July after working on it for about 6 months. And we launched a content and look and feel upgrade. So what you're seeing here is brand new, updated and easier to navigate look and feel, as well as expanded and refreshed content, and also more organized than it was in our previous website. So what I'd like to do is just walk you through a couple of the enhancements that came out in July. And then now we are in the process of rolling out what we called phase 2, which enables some additional benefits for Wave member villages that we'll be talking about a little bit later. So hopefully some of you have had a chance to look at the new website since it launched in July, but here is our URL, wavevillages.org. One of the innovations for the website is this banner across the top of the homepage that we can use to announce anything special that's going on, either within Wave itself or within the larger community. So here you'll see right now that we're focusing on the Wave Finishing Strong Award with a click right through to the detail about the award. And perhaps something else we could put up here is the link to the Virginia survey that we were just talking about, and any other initiatives from villages that deserve some fanfare and special attention. I'm going to talk about the calendar in a little bit more detail later, but here you see in upcoming events, that we, of course, are featuring our own events, but also events from that other villages are putting on. And these have been taken from the existing shared calendar of events that Doug Gaddis at Silver Spring Village is currently hosting. But this is what it will look like starting November 1st, when the Silver Spring Village shared calendar is retired and WAVE takes over sponsoring the shared events calendar on behalf of villages. So you can see here, if you just were to click through on this event that Capitol Hill Village is sponsoring, it takes you right to a description of the event and the ability to register for that event at the applicable villages registration page. And we'll be talking a lot more about that in the information sessions that we'll be holding later this week. Also, a new feature of the new website are these 4 areas here that will take you to major areas of the website, including discussions of what are villages for anybody who might not be aware anymore, as well as WAVE programs and resources. And we also have enabled a function to find a village within the WAVE region. And if you click on that, you'll see here a listing of all of the known villages in the WAVE region. There's 74 of them now. And 47 of those are WAVE members. And if you scroll down, you'll see a map that shows the villages in our region. So here you can see, of course, the cluster around the DC area, but also an expansion out to other areas within the wider metropolitan area. This is my village way down here in the hinterlands in Locust Grove. You can see we have one out in Rappahannock County and up in Shepherdstown, West Virginia, and as far north as Baltimore. So the reach of WAVE is definitely expanding. We also have the ability to get added to mailing lists and to be able to contact us. All, you know, fairly straightforward and traditional components of a good website. And then some of the areas in the website, when you start to drill down in the About section, you will see that you can get to a listing of all of our WAVE member villages, documents on the WAVE website, as well as a listing of the WAVE region villages, which would be the 74 villages that I referred to earlier. And
Carolyn, be sure and show them the archive under, there you go.
yep, I was just getting there. Thank you. So under WAVE programs, you'll see links to the various programs that WAVE is sponsoring at this point, including the 2 awards and a link to our events, and also the link to the archive of WAVE events, which, as you know, we have started recording and posting to our YouTube channel. So these are all of the recordings that we have done this year, including the Queen Anne's workshop that we did last Monday, as well as the prior ones. So this is where you can go to get access to the videos of our programs. And then finally on announcements, which we had on our previous website as well, and have carried forward to this one, a member benefit being able to post your job descriptions that you have open for any open positions. You can post them, send them to us for posting here. And we will also continue to send out the email blasts when you have a position to fill.
Carolyn, tell them where to send their announcements or our email address.
You can continue to send it to Washington Area Villages at gmail.com.
I think it's at the bottom of the screen, isn't it? If you go to our
Here we go.
homepage,
Yep.
there you go.
Mhm. Yep,
So
right
our
there.
email is always down there.
Okay, so that pretty much covers what was available in July when we first launched. And now we are starting to enable some of the functionality of the new system that will benefit both WAVE and member villages. So the biggest benefit of one of the biggest benefits of this new website is that it is integrating previous disparate systems into one system. Now, this website will be able to handle all member and non-member records. It can handle financial records, including membership dues and donations, events management, including calendar listings and registrations. Emailing will be incorporated. And there also are some pretty robust reporting capabilities that will help us do reports that help define the value of WAVE programs. Each WAVE member village gets 2 logins to the system, to the back-end functions of the system. One login being usually will be given to the WAVE contact, who will be either the executive director or a principal officer or anyone designated by those 2 people. And that log on or credential will be used for keeping the village's profile current and up to date. And the other login will be used for the person who is in charge of the village's calendaring programs, and will be used to configure that village's programs on the WAVE shared calendar website. And for that, there would be a login, a member login.
Carolyn, it is important to stress that this is only for WAVE member villages. A reminder, our dues are only $35 and you get an awful lot of bang for those bucks. And so everything that she's describing now in terms of being able to put your events up and other things, these are for WAVE member villages. So come join us.
So what I just described to you, all of the functionality and the content that I have just been describing is available to any visitor to the website, and anybody that comes, whether it's a WAVE non-member village or any other interested person, gets access to all of these the content and all of these menu items here. What logins are needed for is just to manage the records and the calendaring for the village in question. And you'll see that a village contact will be able to manage their profile, including all of the additional members in that village who receive emails. So right now, if you want to add somebody to the mailing list and you're a WAVE member village, you send us an email and we add you to the mailing list. You'll be able to do that yourself with this new functionality. And there's other things that the contacts will be able to do, like update their information and view transaction histories. So I won't get into too much more detail about that because we will be covering that in more detail in the information sessions that we'll be having later. And then the most exciting part I think for WAVE member villages will be the new calendaring function, where you will now be able to manage and enter any village event that you're sponsoring that you want to have available to the wider community will be able to be configured in this area. And we think it's a fairly easy and straightforward process that will be done. You just have one form to fill in. And once it's filled in, it will automatically be populated to the calendar here. So you
An
can
important
see.
point is, again, not only is this for member villages, but that wherever possible, if not always, I think we are hoping that most of the registrations from our member villages who are creating their own events notice here on the calendar, that the registration would go back to their own registration site, whatever that is.
Right, so that's how it's working now in the current system, and that's how we would envision that it would continue to work. And like I said, we'll be going into detail about this in the information systems, but again, here is the session from Northwest Neighbors, and it is configured to go straight to that registration form for that event. So what's happening next in the new website is that sometime this afternoon, an email will be sent to the 47 WAVE member villages, the contact that we've identified with the logon credentials and instructions in more detail about how to log on to the network, and also information about the training and information sessions that we have scheduled for later this week, next week, and additional sessions will be scheduled as well. And those training and information sessions are meant to show the village members who have logins how to manage the profile, and also how we will be configuring events with this new system. And we'll plan to record those information and training sessions and get them up on our YouTube channel. So what questions do you have for me about this?
Okay, you can raise your hand or you can put them into the chat. Maybe you might, well, I guess you need to keep, let's see, so I have Seal. You're on mute, Seal.
It's not a question. I just wanted to point out that we are in the process of updating the WAVE logo. Just not, a lot of folks may not know that. That's all.
Well, thank you for giving me an opening. Among the talents that we need are logo experts. Okay, we really need a graphic designer here. But we had Layla who helped us design the Founders Award graphic and icon. Maybe we'll have to lean on her, but if you have strong feelings about logos, please let me know.
Yeah, it's amazing how much passion, thinking about what your logo should look like can raise. So we've been through a couple of iterations, none of which have really taken hold. So we definitely want to refresh our logo as well.
I think that was created manually by people about 12 years ago, back with the technology that beginners had available to them.
Right. The same with Lowlink's first logo. It looked like it had been created by someone who was not a graphic designer.
Right. Any other questions or comments? Trying to look at this. Raise your hand or just speak up if you're on mute.
So we're looking forward to what we think will be numerous benefits from this WAVE website, and the shared calendaring is just the first of it. We might have an opportunity for blogs or for for the WAVE website to become more of a central point for information distribution as well. And I should also mention that not only will the WAVE member villages be using the shared calendar, but also the government, the two government entities in Montgomery County and in Fairfax will be invited to list their programs related to older adults as well.
Okay. Well, again, thank you very, very much. I think we're all happy to have come this far, and there's still further to go. But again, we want this to be your website as well. And so please, by all means, send me any suggestions you have. I wanted to add that one functionality that we are considering is something that this particular system does provide, which is a forum. There are pros and cons to this. Among the cons is we certainly don't want to duplicate what VtV is already doing so well. And we certainly encourage you all to be VtV members. On the other hand, there might be things that for just a regional forum might be very, very useful. We haven't decided pro or, yes or no definitively yet, but I guess your feedback about the value of something like that could also be helpful. Okay, can we have thank you very much, Carolyn, for all this work. Again, there will be training sessions that, and Carolyn is skilled at even creating training videos. So this is going to be really good. Seal, did you have one more? Your hand went up again. Okay, all right, next slide, please. Jonas, there we go. All right. Well, I'm really happy to introduce Kathy Pointer. As I said, she is a WAVE board member and has been a very positive contributor to our board. And she created and leads the Kingdom Care Senior Village. And she has been also designated to initiate and lead a very innovative project in the district that is called Age in Place DC Senior Services. So Kathy, we're really looking forward to hearing about your very important and innovative project.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary Jo. Thank you all for sharing this morning. I'm going to share my screen and walk through this pretty quickly. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
So again, thank you, Mary Jo. Thank you for the opportunity just to share about this project, and we appreciate this time. As Mary Jo mentioned, I am the director of the Kingdom Care Senior Village. We are just 5 years old. We operate in inner city DC, Ward 8, east of the Anacostia River, and we serve primarily an African-American community through our services. Right at probably at the beginning of the pandemic, around 2020, early 20, as has been shared, I think Morgan shared that there's a consortium of 13 DC villages, as many of you know. And there was just at that point a willingness to really talk about the need for diversity and inclusion in the village movement. So we began to talk about it a little bit. And obviously, again, with COVID and some of the other things that happened, the inequity issue was really, really highlighted and became apparent, but not just talk about it, but we were willing, and our village leaders and directors, and I see several of them are on, Capitol Hill is on, I think Foggy Bottom and Northwest Neighbors, and I think I saw East Rock Creek, but we talked about it a bit to want to address it in some kind of way. And at that time, I really, really gave a lot of thought to it because I was aware, even for myself 5 years ago, had never heard about the village concept. And even as we started and launched the Kingdom Care Senior Village, it was new and no one knew a lot about it in the African American community. So I pitched a project to the DC villages that the group embraced. And I'm going to share a little bit about that today. So we recognized again that the problem was that there's a lack of awareness, diversity, and access to villages for people of color. And that was just primarily a very simple problem. And we wanted to look at a simple approach to addressing it. Obviously, you can't start villages everywhere. It takes money, it takes time, it takes resources, people, all of that. So looked at another way to do that. So the project was outreach awareness campaign to inform the African-American community of the senior village concept and the service model as a means of additional support for seniors. A critical success factor was to identify the most effective partners to reach and touch seniors, because again, this was right at the beginning of COVID. It was already a challenge. We had actually tried to do something earlier, and it was just hard really connecting with people during COVID. And so, I mean, it was difficult. So the question became, how do we launch this project in the midst of COVID with these challenges? And for me, because of my existing work, it became quickly apparent that the best partner for this endeavor was the faith community. In order to reach seniors during this time where they were not accessible, you can't get to them, you can't knock on doors, you can't visit people. How do we connect with them? And again, because of things that I was already doing, it became apparent that I thought that the best approach to partnership was to connect with the faith community. So our partners, the church and the Black community plays a vital role in the lives of families, with a special emphasis on seniors there. The church and the community of African Americans is very vital to information sharing. As I said here, the relationships are strong, which result in a high level of trust, creating an environment of care and concern for the well-being of senior congregants, young adults, teens. So there are lots of groups, as some of you probably know, in churches. And we in the African American community certainly focus on our seniors. And so because of that, again, we thought that I thought that that would be a great means of partnership, because there was already investment, there was already interest, there was, in many cases, there were already some level of programming, not necessarily from a village perspective, but certainly reaching out, connecting with them in some kind of way. Some of that already existed in some of the houses of worship. So again, houses of worship are located across the city, which was important to us. And when I say us, the 13 villages in all wards and neighborhoods, including low income and underserved communities, which would account for the great majority of our target audience. Because in many cases, those are the seniors that nobody's reaching. They don't have the resources to reach out themselves. Many don't have support, access to technology. Even if there is access, not necessarily know how to use it, just access to other resources. I just heard about food insecurities, all kinds of things. And because again, houses of worship are located across the city, we thought again, this was a great means of partnership, because they can reach people and know of seniors that we would not be able to identify and know of ourselves. So the plan or the goal, the end goal of the project was to better ensure seniors and communities of color have access to village type services. When we first started, I do want to say that we targeted more than just the African American community, but we did not get any response. And so I then just pivoted to the community that I knew, because I do know quite a few people in the community of houses of worship in the African American communities. So the goal became, again, to better ensure seniors and communities of color have access to village type services. And that's very, very important, because again, we knew and know we cannot start villages. We don't have the resources, but we can provide some level of support. Number one, to make aware of the village concept. And number two, to connect to village type services, offer those services. And number three, hopefully, ultimately, even to connect to a village if there's one in their neighborhood or vicinity. So what was the approach? I met with approximately 30 faith leaders and really talked about just the idea. At that point, it was solely an idea. I had pitched it to the lead kind of our collaborative, certainly in terms of our funding and allocating that, which is Denise Snyder at Foggy Bottom. Pitched the initial concept to her. She said, no, I don't think this is it. I had to go back with something else, and we settled on what we thought was a great approach. I narrowed it down to 8 houses of worship, which we selected to participate in this pilot. Each, what we did, again, because they're in different neighborhoods, and I'll show you where they're located, we asked each one to select what we're calling an ambassador. which was the greatest thing I think we could have done, was to identify someone on the ground in their local place, local neighborhood, in their facility that would serve as our contact. And then I conducted orientations with them. And so the initial goal was to meet with the faith leaders because I wanted the senior leadership to know what we're doing and to buy into that. As they selected the ambassador, to know exactly what was going on, what was going to be required, the support, the services, you know, everything, so that they would be aware and then can be supportive of the entire project. To go along with that, we created a monthly reporting form, which I'll show you in a few minutes, to track and monitor activity. So each ambassador each month had to submit a monthly report via this Google form. And we also created a referral form. And that was because as I was thinking about the project, we were not able to provide the level of services we really knew seniors were going to need, because again, many are low income in low income areas, some of them didn't have support at all. So we anticipated that there would be some services that we could not provide. So I created a referral form that we could then send to the Department on Aging and Community Living, which is our contact here in DC for senior services that's supported by, you know, state funding, federal funding, and they have a structure there that they can provide support beyond what we could. And then we developed a memo of understanding that each of the churches, each of the houses of worship had to sign, just outlining what the project is, what the expectations are, what the reporting requirements are, and what the end goal of the project is. So that was kind of the approach that we took to start. So the 8 that were selected are in 5 of the 8 wards in the city. We had representations from Ward 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8. So there were only 2 wards, and that's Wards 1 and 6, that we did not have representation for. And we're hopeful to double back and actually continue in some kind of way the project so we can pick up those 2 wards. And there were some of the houses of worship that were absolutely phenomenal in terms of their outreach, because the whole goal was not just within their congregations, but also in their communities, to reach out into their communities and help seniors just across the city. I talked about a part of one of the goals, the 3 goals were, number 1, to raise awareness of the village concept in African American communities. Number 2, to provide village-like services. And then number 3, to connect them to a village. So the village-like services, these are the things that we asked all the ambassadors and required that we do, that they do. Number 1, again, right at the onset of COVID, right at that time, we conduct check-in calls and visits. That was a part of the MOU. To connect seniors to city-provided services, which was, again, major. That was a part of the MOU. To provide volunteer support services. We did not get that to the place where I would have liked it to have been, because we needed the ambassadors to submit volunteers or help us vet volunteers that were in their areas, because we're all across the city. And we certainly couldn't support that from the Kingdom Care Senior Village in Ward 8, having to then, send volunteers across the city. So I'm still working on that part, but we did get some, but not to the degree or level that I would want it. But we're grateful too that our request did not exceed our ability to handle that. Also to send us referrals on a monthly basis. And I'll show you that tool we use. There was a form that they had to submit for each referral that they had to submit to us, and we would in turn send that to DACL, and we started working with another organization as we got to the end of the project. We wanted to give access to a vetted list of service providers, the ones that we have, but plumbers and all the things that most of you do as well, provide access to that. Share transportation resources. And we were able to do that in a great way with workshops and just making sure seniors had information related to transportation services. At one point, Capitol Hill Village had a free service and all of them took advantage of that. So we just made sure that they were able to get where they needed to go, which was very, very important. Also, services provided to connect them to programming, giving them access to the monthly offering of programming, whether they self-planned it. We would share the programming that we received from other villages, our own programming, Sibley Hospital, others. We just wanted to make sure that the seniors were connected to various programming across the cities. And then, as I said, lastly, to connect seniors to an existing village where and when feasible. And although they may go to church in one neighborhood, the idea was they probably lived, some of them lived in different neighborhoods. And if there was a village in their area, we wanted to make sure that they got connected to that village. That would be another area I would focus more on during the next round because we didn't get the kind of traction there that I would like to have seen the project get there as well. The period of performance, we launched the project January of 2022. And our initial funding period went through August of 2022. And I want to say again, when I say that the 13 villages agreed, we also agreed to carve out some funding for it, which I think was, again, not just, it kind of backed, the language. Sometimes we can talk, but there's no backing to our conversation. And I think we've all heard that talk is cheap. So I'm thankful that it was not just conversation, but there was a willingness to look at our funding that we get from DACL and carved out some monies to be able to do this because it costs money to be able to do something like this. We were also able to extend the project by 1 month. So we actually just ended September 30th. And that was, again, as Denise and others are looking at some of the dollars, that there were a few dollars remaining that allowed us to extend it by 1 month. So we ended up, I think, with a 9-month program of this pilot, which I'm really, really pleased about. And although we identified houses of worship, this project is actually replicable. You can replicate it because you can use any organizations, whether it be neighborhood advisory councils or others who in communities that are interested in doing something like this. So it's a model, and it doesn't have to be with houses of worship. I just want to do a quick data review, if I may. I think I have a few minutes. Throughout the project, we served 1,078 total monthly served. This is the number of services that were provided over the course of the project, and I'll show you something in a few seconds. We served 493 unduplicated seniors, and that's very, very important because that means we touched 493 seniors who would not have otherwise been touched. And we talked early on with DACL about it, even as we talk among ourselves with the 13 villages, there's so many seniors that are not being served. And it's through community organizations like villages, as we know, that we're able to touch and reach those seniors. So we reached 493 seniors who would not have otherwise been serviced. So we're really thankful for that. I'm going to show you in a few minutes, again, the types of services that are being requested. And over that period of time, we received 89 referrals were submitted. And those were referrals for transportation, the EPD waiver, home health aides, safe at home, home delivered meals, deep house cleaning, caseworker, all types of things. We were able to take those referrals and put them into one of those categories and submit those referrals for additional support. I want to just give you a little bit of a data review, and I only have, I think, one of the slides in here, and I'm going to have to pop out into another screen to show you a few other things. But we did do a survey in the session evaluations. We did surveys for the seniors. We did an evaluation for the seniors. We did one for ambassadors, and we did one for faith leaders. One of the questions we asked the seniors, what services did you benefit from most of all? And I'm not sure if you can actually see it very clearly, but most, again, if we see 79.2% stated the social interaction. And we know that that is a major issue when it comes to isolation and loneliness. So to see that 79.2% said, hey, I benefited most from somebody calling me, coming to see me, whatever the case may be. Health and wellness support, home repair services, receiving a case manager, medical equipment, transportation, admin support. Admin support was we help with completing applications for the meals program, or completing an application for the energy savings program, or helping to get the COVID test, or making sure they had PPE, whatever that was. Food bank or grocery shopping, we offer a food pantry that we open once a week. So that's what that's about. And then again, helping to reduce that whole issue of loneliness and isolation. I do want to, if I can, stop sharing here, and I want to share just a bit more in terms of some data. So can you see this spreadsheet? I know you may not be able to see it really well, but I want to. Can you see a spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Okay. So real quickly, every ambassador had to report every month. And these were the questions. What month are you reporting for? The number of seniors, what services did you provide? What additional resources do you need? Did you connect the senior with the village? How many seniors did you submit a referral for? Were there any requests made that you were unequipped to provide? Do you need a meeting with me? A support call to help you better, and to share highlights, which is really, really important, then to share concerns. And I don't have time to go through all these, but I do want to just share. So if we look at January, we received 85, we touched 85 seniors in January, 10 referrals in January. It was 85 seniors served, 10 referrals that we received in January. I'm not going to go through all of them, but February, as you can see, there were 111 seniors that we touched in February. 26 referrals were submitted in February, and I want to jump right on down because I'm running out of time. Over a 3-month period, January through March, we touched 294 seniors with 53 referrals received. And if I just go down to the bottom, again, you can see as I scroll down the number of seniors served each month and what those services were is also there. For a 6-month period, we had about 743 seniors. And then again, by the time we got to the end of the project, we had provided 178 seniors with support with over 89 referrals that we were able to submit and get seniors, again, on transportation. DC offers a number of services through the Department of Aging and Community Living. They offer a home delivered meal service. They offer transportation to medical appointments, deep house cleaning, again, a case manager, helping with the EPD waiver, so many things. So that's what those referrals were about, making sure those seniors receive those services that we could not provide. Just real quickly, one more thing I want to share is, I think right here, just from our faith leaders. I'm not able to share all of the evaluation results from seniors or the ambassadors, but I just wanted to share this one. We asked the faith leaders what aspects of the program were helpful for your seniors, check all that apply, and they were able to do that. And then we asked them what appealed to them most, and then we asked some too, will they continue the program? And every one of them said yes, with the exception of one. And that one basically said, I don't have the resources to continue the program. Otherwise, I would do that. So, so that's kind of a quick data review. We had what we called a kind of an ambassador's toolkit. So this is where the ambassadors would go every month to complete their evaluation, to pull any of our trainings were posted in here. They could pull their referral form from here. And we had other documents in here that would help them to just manage. We met every other month, just as just kind of updates and to answer questions and to help support them, provide resources and all of that. I met with them every other month to do that. And it was just a great opportunity. And I think, again, just really when we think about the village movement, just knowing that this is a part of DC, a part of our local area, part of WAVE, but part of VtVN, that we were able to reach communities of color that would not have otherwise been reached. So I think I'm going to stop there because I'm right at my 11 o'clock time frame is 11:01. I think I had 30 minutes. So I will stop there and turn it back over to Mary Jo. Thank you.
Well, yes, let's take your comments. I just want to say this is really inspiring. And what hits me so powerfully is that you personally had the background and skills and experience to lead this and thought of it. And you were able to reach out to other people in faith-based organizations because you had a lot of those connections already. And the strength and importance of people who know what the issues are, who know who the people are, who understand what the problems are. I think just it shines through, and you did a wonderful job of pulling it all together. So congratulations and thank you for it. It's I don't know if it's replicable. It seems so huge, but it was wonderful. How about other questions and comments? Raise your hands or chime in. I can't see everybody. I guess I should go back to gallery view.
I have a question.
Sure, go.
So Kathy, as usual, just such an incredible leader, and I'm in awe of you and your incredible force of nature, essentially. Question about continuation of this project. So these ambassadors you've trained, are they all embedded into different churches? Do you plan to keep them there so that it is self-sustaining in some respects? So is this your goal?
Yeah, actually thinking about how to do that in addition to wanting to engage the 2 wards that we were not able to, looking at how we can continue to maintain where we are and what we do have into those communities. So we have been talking and have some funding, just haven't kind of laid out exactly how we'll utilize it. But the answer to that question is yes, because we want some sustainability, and that's very important to have that. So we're looking at how to best do that.
So these ambassadors, are they paid for their work?
No, not paid. We gave a stipend for the work, and in time, most of it didn't even go. Most of them didn't get it themselves. It went to community, support, other things they were doing. So it didn't go to an individual in all cases. But yeah, so it was a stipend, but certainly not paid.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm kind of hogging. I'm just so fascinated by this. I noticed in your spreadsheet that not a lot of people were able to make a referral onto a village. Did you dive deeper into why that is, and what are the barriers, and just what, because I think that is sometimes where things break down.
Right, and I actually said that in the presentation. That's one of the things I want to dig into more in this round, because I didn't focus a whole lot of effort to try to make sure and monitor that and really push people and ask the questions, and so certainly, and we can do some things on our own, like asking the senior, what ward do you live in? And find out, where they are and make those connections. So looking at the whole, definitely concerned about that, because ultimately that's what we want. We want the senior in a village that they can then get that support consistently and another level of support, which we could not provide at all, that they can get through the village. So that's a great question. Thank you for asking, and it's certainly on our radar.
I have a minor question, actually, looking at your spreadsheet and looking at the way you were able to report things. And it's a question of how you were able to consistently label what they were reporting on, a friendly call, transportation, et cetera. And I'm very aware and appreciative of the leadership that Capitol Hill is taking, to help us all standardize, what it is we think we do, so that people can report on it together. So did you, on their reporting form, did you have like boxes to check? So they had to see which box they fit into, and they couldn't make up a new title for it?
Yeah, I did. I just had a list of services that they could just select all that apply. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions or comments here?
Well, I just want, this is Denise from Foggy Bottom West End. I've had the pleasure of working with Kathy just through the grant management process. And one thing I wanted to note that hasn't been said already, obviously Kathy comes close to walking on water, but she also does this in a very cost-effective way. And I think that's really important to note. Even though it's not a traditional village, there's still a tremendous amount of volunteer effort that goes into it. And that includes some of Kathy's time, as well as she said, the ambassadors are not really paid. So I just wanted to say, again, on behalf of the rest of the DC villages, how impressed we are with the work she's doing and how much we want to see it enlarged, so that we can be impacting more of the seniors that we're missing in DC right now.
Denise.
I had a question. My name is Laura Beyer and I work with the Alzheimer's Association, and I'm a village enthusiast, having been in home care before this. Kathy, how did you do your research? Was it like surveys that you sent out?
No, it's just I already was a part of a group of faith leaders and I knew a lot of them. And I
But
know
for the respondents, to answer your specific questions about the most important, touch points, was that, how did you accumulate that?
Okay, was that for I used those that were serviced. So that 1,000 some odd services we provided, I used that list of people because we know who they are. And we sent the
Okay.
survey out to them. Mhm.
But it was paper and pencil?
No, we did it electronically, but I had the ambassadors actually work with them to do it. So let's say if an ambassador submitted 340 seniors, they work with their seniors to get that.
Wow, that's fantastic. Just to even get that data back is amazing.
Mhm. Thank
That's great. I would love it if you wouldn't mind putting your email in the chat.
Sure, not at all.
Thank you.
Mhm.
A reminder that this is being recorded and we will have a video of it. And Kathy, if you don't mind sharing your slides, we'll put them up in PDF, for people who would like to have them afterward too.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be very good. Well,
Thank you.
getting back to this issue of what you are frustrated with, that people weren't necessarily connected back to an existing village. I have, part of me thinks that that's not such an absolute goal necessarily. You have these faith-based communities that have a rich tradition of helping seniors, as you say. So it seems to me a perfectly good, secondary goal is just to help enrich the capacity of those faith-based organizations to do what they're doing, whether or not they actually connect people back to a village or not. I'm not saying it wouldn't be great if you can connect people to villages and then the additional efforts, but I think just strengthening and informing the faith-based community of some of these other resources and places that they can turn to do the work that they're doing would be a fine outcome.
Yeah, and we do that. We send so much information. Everything we get, we provide to the ambassadors that they can then push it out. So not disagreeing with you there, but
Yeah.
ultimately, if we can connect as many as we can to a village, that would be great as well.
Good. Okay, I see no more questions or comments. Is there anything in the chat that we need to attend to? If not, I think we'll shorten our break to as little as 5 minutes. So here's what's going. I'll tell you a little bit what's going to happen, and then I'm going to let Jonas tell you what's going to happen. Again, our breakout sessions do not have any fixed themes. Seal, maybe you can tell me who the facilitators are. Not that it matters. I don't want you picking your favorite facilitator, but we have 3 different facilitators for 3 different breakout groups, right?
That's right. That's right. I will facilitate one of them. Erico Kennedy will do another one, and Wendy Zinker will do the third. I don't even know where Jonas can put us wherever he needs to put us, but it's.
Sorry, I wasn't aware there was facilitators for each room. So I was just told random. Can you say those 3 names again so I can make
Yeah,
sure they're
sure
split
can.
up?
Sorry, Jonas.
No
My
worries.
apologies. Seal, me. I will be in one of them. Erico Kennedy in another.
Okay.
And Wendy Zinker in yet another. Just don't put the 3 of us together.
Perfect. I can do that.
For God's sake, don't put the 3 of us together.
Oh boy, what a conversation. Okay, and now Jonas, remind people how they can just pick at random. No, actually, he is going to assign you all at random to one of these 3.
That's right.
If you really hate the person you're in with and you want different company, Jonas can tell you how to do that. But otherwise, if you're comfortable, you don't have to do anything. You can go take a 3-minute bio break and come back, and Jonas will have assigned you somewhere. But Jonas, give him some guidance.
Yep. So I've assigned people randomly to the rooms. I'm going to wait a second to open it just to make sure I have the 3 people where they need to be to make sure they're split up and even, because a few people have dropped out since I split the rooms. Now they're kind of uneven. So I'm going to delete them and restart them. But in a second, when I open them, you'll see a pop-up saying that you've been invited to join room 1, 2, or 3, and just click join when you get that pop-up. And if you run into any issues, feel free just to unmute yourself or put in the chat saying you're running into an issue, and I can sort of manually move you over. But in just a second, the rooms are going to be open. Actually, I think I'll just automatically move you into the breakout rooms, which makes it even, you don't have to do anything at all. And then if you don't like your room, feel free to move back out by clicking leave room, and I'll put you in a different room.
We won't take it personally.
Right, but I want to remind people that we do not reconvene. So this is hasta la vista, farewell, thank you. It's been good to see you. And watch for our January quarterly meeting. Again, please do send me an email personally if you're interested in the board or committees. Please think about if you would like to apply for the Finishing Strong Award, or stay tuned for the Founders Award. And especially watch that email if you're a Wave Village about how you can start inputting your own events. I think that's it. So go join us.
Okay, give me 1 second, but take your little break, take a break, and I'll have them ready when you come back.
Okay, good. Everybody can go break for a moment.
I left, I didn't have it automatically assign the 3 hosts. There's slightly less people in room 3 than there are in room 1 or 2, but everyone should be where they need to be now.
Okay, let me see. I was going to say, because I haven't been moved and I don't see a way to.
Yeah, do you care what room you're put in?
No.
Okay, well, let's.
You said 3 is a little less.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll go in 3.
That would work. That would even things out a bit.
Okay. Join 3. Okay.